Yeah, still. All rise, we report this court now in session. Honorable Judge Oakley presiding.
Have a seat, folks. Settle in. You ready? All right. All right. Who's here for DTE?
Myself, April Martin.
All right. Mr. Van Ash, you're here for the contracting company?
Yes.
All right. All right. So a little ground rules. First of all, small claims is different than what we call our general civil docket on a couple different points. The main one probably is the fact that when I make a decision today, you're stuck with it. There is no appeal to a small claims case made by a judge. You understand that? All right. And you're both willing to go forward understanding that? All right. Keeping with my ground rules. I'm pretty informal. So I'm just going to go back and forth, back and forth, back and forth until I'm convinced that you've told me everything you want to tell me. So don't interrupt. So if the other side's saying something and you want to correct it, don't feel that you have to interrupt. We're going to just take turns. I'm going to give you plenty of chance to do that. When you're talking, try to stick with audible yes, no, I don't know, instead of the head nods and head shakes, because although I might catch it if I'm looking, it's not going to record. What else? I don't see any witnesses, so I'm assuming I'm going to hear from you two. All right. So why don't both of you raise your right hands? Do you swear or affirm tell the truth, the whole truth, nothing but the truth today? Okay. Let me think. Oh, and the last thing, I am going to interrupt you. It's a guarantee that you're going to be saying something and my mind's going to come up with a question. And I'm going to interrupt you to ask the question. I don't do it because I'm trying to get you off your game. It's just the way my mind works. When I have the question, I want to get the answer so I can start processing that. I think that's it for the ground rules. So Ms. Martin, DT is the plaintiff. Tell your story.
So I'm on the damage claims team. So what our team does, if there is damage to our property and or equipment, we seek to recover damages to our property and our equipment. So on July 22nd, 2021, there was some construction done at the site. The site was, I don't want to say bigger, but it's a new construction site. So there were no homes there or anything at that time.
It's just site work at that point in time?
Sorry?
Site work. They're prepping the property to start construction.
Right.
Okay.
So on July 22nd, 2021, at 1018 Van Wright in Novi, Michigan, there was an underground cable that was struck by Van Ash and Company. From that point, when the underground cable was struck, there was a ticket. So our crews have to go out and identify the damage, and they have to identify what's the cause of that damage, because it could lead to outages for our customers.
Right.
Sure. So I think in a nutshell, that's pretty much.
Okay. Okay. So what was the extent of the damage? How did you determine who was at fault?
So when the crews go out to the site to look at what happened, they make some notes in what we call the chronology. So this is our contract, or not our contract crews, but our underground crews. They said that there was a hit between two transformers, and I can show you on some documentation what that is. But it says that it was a hit between transformer 1, transformer 2, pull cable out of the -1 into conduit, cut and abandoned cable, tag our equipment, we'll need to replace the stretch. So with that being said, when our crews made the final repairs, that's when the invoice was sent to Van Ash and his company. And the damages that we're seeking, it was a total of $7,312, but because it's a small claim,
Yep.
seek the $7,000. So we met with the mediator. I don't know if you want me to keep going. But we met with the mediator, and Mr. Van Ash admitted that the cable was hit.
Okay.
But he believes that the stakings that are entered after this big ticket was submitted by his company, which is the right thing to do. He believes that the stakings were incorrect, but they were not incorrect based on easement. So that's the amount of room that, we have to do any type of work or repairs, what have you. He stated that based on the stakings and just the easement, that there was nothing done on his part. However, Ms. Dig Law, which is to protect the safety of anyone that's doing any digging, excavating, boring, etc., is to ensure safety above all things. But with that being said about Ms. Dig, well, I'm gonna train it up, but with Ms. Dig, he did call it in as he was supposed to. And we have another company that goes out, they do the staking, and there's also another diagram that we have where the staking lines up with one of the poles that's out on the street, you can see it. And the staking is gonna go all the way from the front to the rear of the line. Again, it's all gonna, and some of the drawings that we have, but again, he said that he didn't hit the cable there, but there was no other place that it could have been hit based on what the proof of marks were, where the damage occurred, and then just based on some of the overlays that we have of the schematic where our equipment is.
All right, so the field report, for want of a better way to call it, said that the line was dug up between transformer 1 and 2.
Correct, it was hit, yes.
Okay. And the damage that was done between 1 and 2 caused that line to be replaced at the cost of 7,000 plus.
Correct.
Okay.
So that's determined by, so we have, is the repair damage is based on what the crews have to go out and repair, is based on labor, equipment.
Sure.
Yeah, so I think this work was done a little bit more extensive because the line was hit, et cetera, right?
Yeah, but it sounds to me like the dispute is whether or not where the line got damaged was where Misdig told him the line would be. Okay. All right. Do you have any questions for Ms. Martin? Okay. Anything else before I switch sides?
I had lost my train of thought, I remember what it was.
Well, you got it back?
No.
Okay. Okay. Well, when it does, I'll give you another chance. All right. Mr. Van Ash, tell me your story.
Most of everything she said was correct. But we weren't preparing the site. The site was already prepped. The utilities were already in. We were coming there to dig the basement.
Okay.
So now when we come to dig the basement, we call Ms. Dave, which we did. And then we go out there and we observe, okay, there's the lines in the easement. The basement's staked out. We're digging up as we're excavating the basement.
First interruption, I think. Did you guys stake the basement or does the contractor do that and just you come out and dig where he told you? Okay. All right. So go ahead. Go ahead.
It's in the ring. So as we're digging the basement, we strike a line that wasn't marked. So we had a electric line. So we got it shut down, we call it in, they come, they fix it. And the crew that came out realized, oh wow, this wasn't even, we didn't know this was here, this is supposed to be up here in the easement where it was marked.
Okay. So they had another interruption. So DTE had an underground line that was not within the easement that was, and the easement was where all the Mystic flags were at.
So then the repair crew came out, and unfortunately, I'm not familiar with hitting lines. You have it.
Yeah, it happens. Yeah.
And usually it's around $2,000. They come out, they patch it. That's
Right.
And then, but when they came out to repair this, they realized, well, they can't just repair this line because it would be, in the laundry room of a house. So they had to go all the way over here, then all the way over here, and put it in properly. And that's how I got up to $7,000.
So in essence, they rerouted
They rerouted.
the line.
So the crews came out and misled me, I guess, because they were like, oh yeah, that's not your fault, it's over here, it's all this, so. Like, okay, well, it's terrible that I lost a day of work now, because now I can't take a basement, because I gotta eat, and, you know, luckily nobody got hurt, but, and then years later, we start talking about this again, and well, I wasn't really prepared to, you know, get statements and the pictures and all this, and I just thought, hey, I thought that's what this was. So I said, well, can you justify? I said, so if I would have showed up, if Ms. Pig would have marked it properly, I would have dug it up. I said, hey, you can't dig this basement. There's a line in the way. Then another group had to come out and I think spend $7,000 to put it where it
Get
was.
it out from under the new house.
Yes. So I'm not disputing that it cost $7,000. I don't dispute that amount. I don't think you know, hit a line that was in the easement and then got cashed back. And then caused this whole thing to get replaced. I think, well, why am I responsible for the installation of this line to be installed properly? It should have been day one. I'm the one that got put out the day's work in the, you know, the threat of injury or, you know.
Right.
All that. I did everything I could do. I called Miss Dig, I trusted it, I assumed it was there, and it wasn't as if we encroached into the easement, it got within the 4 feet. Because we are familiar with the standards, and sometimes they are a little bit off, and we can dig, if we know where to get that close, we do can dig and find it. And then she had some pictures, when we did the mediating, you can see actually damage in the hole of the basement. And there's no subdivision that I know of that has. The only electric on the property is the service to that house that comes later. You know, you can't have your neighbor's primary
Right. I got you.
line running that close to your house.
So how if, and I know it's been a while, 21, right? Yeah. If you can answer this. So you're working at spot A and that's where you hit the cable. How far was A, distance wise, feet wise, how far was A from the nearest misdig flag? If you remember.
I couldn't say, because it could have been a side yard, so it could have, if it was, I don't believe it was the backyard, because then it would be like 60 feet. So I think it was a side yard, you know, so it could have been 8 feet away from the markings.
Okay.
Enough where we don't care where they are.
Right.
4 feet, they give themselves 4 feet of the line.
Right. Yeah. So if the basement was staked within 3 feet of the flags, you would have hand dug that section of basement.
Well, we never have to find the wires to take basement. The only time we have to find the wires is for the utilities. We're bringing the sewer in the front. We gotta find utilities.
Gotcha. Gotcha.
Bringing the water.
You're coming across the easement to get to it.
Digging the basement, I can dig a basement, I can dig a pool, and do whatever I want.
Right.
In the yard.
Right.
That's weird.
Right. Well, supposed to be.
So, and if there was a road misdig line, we would have just said, hey, we can't take this basement.
Right.
And it has happened,
Sure.
where, hey, they cut a corner, because when they came there, it was just a field.
Right.
And it's like, ooh, they weren't prepared for you guys to divide this into, maybe it was divided into condos and now it's houses.
Right. I got you.
So they could have got away with it if they were just gonna do a 5 unit condo, but now that they're doing single homes, we're tired in a corner,
Mhm.
you know, that was my, so then normally what I do is we do it.
Yeah, it happens. I got you.
And normally I just turn it over to the insurance. It's like, hey, sorry. You know,
Right.
they smack me in the head and tell me to be careful. Which, but then when I seen the $7,000 and I know that's just for the rerouting. Then I'm not paying for them to put it in properly.
Right.
You owe me $7,000 for wasting my day, you know, so it was kind of my principle, I was just like, you know, no, then we went to mediation and tried it out there and. You know, offered
It didn't work, obviously.
90% of it. They can't.
Okay. All right. Anything else at this time? Ma'am, do you have any questions for Mr. Van Ash?
So they,
Sorry, and I've heard your name 2 different ways, Van Ash and Van Ashy. You guys say it with, extra syllable, Van Ashe. Got it. No, that's,
So the families.
yeah, really? You guys don't even all agree. Okay, well, Grandpa's usually right. Go ahead.
My first question is, when you hit it or you thought that something wasn't correct, why wasn't another mistake taken? Why wasn't another ticket called after mistake?
We didn't do any more digging. Bang, that zaps in your face and we're done for the day.
Okay. Do you have any proof as to where the damage occurred and where you're saying it did occur?
No, well, other than the picture that you had during mediation, that we spoke of, but that you, but with the guys in the field, after talking about it and letting me believe like, oh, they're apologizing to me, like, hey, we're sorry, this shouldn't have been there, there's no way they should have, they cut a corner and whatever. I didn't know to be so defensive 3 years ago at the time, because it just seemed so common sense played out, and with this got brought back up. No, they don't have, other than the simplest way I would say is, how can a $2,000 damage cost $7,000? That's because it had to get,
Any other questions for Mr. Van Ashe? Go ahead.
He stated that in the past when he said.
Hold on. That statement to me, you don't have to have do you have a question?
Yeah.
Go ahead and ask it.
And you said that this cable contacted your insurance company. How come you didn't contact your insurance company when this occurred?
on the principle of the $7,000. I could have just turned it over and I thought, you know what? No, I'm not gonna put my insurance company through that. My insurance company that installed this properly. If I would have shown up and said, we're not digging the basement, somebody else would have to pay the $7,000 to do it properly. So in principle, I was like, and I've been talking to people through this for, since maybe a year ago. And I explained it. I said, this is ridiculous. I just as a courtesy to my insurance company, and I think maybe my rates would go up, and what they think of me would be less, that I didn't be responsible. I mean, I'm not perfect. I admit that I have some of the insurance right now, maximums, but just on principle, $7,000 I thought was just wild.
Right, but if you had turned it over to your insurance company, they would have had that discussion with us, and they could have got, and they could have determined what amount would have been fair to pay out.
Yeah, but you chose to go with small claims, so I get to decide that.
Right, but.
Well, the simple,
Yeah, but
the answer to that question was.
Because,
Nobody's under an obligation to involve their insurance company.
right, usually, so when we have a lot of people that hit our property in for equipment, right? So when there's something that has happened, they usually send it to the insurance company where they dispute it. We worked through another vendor, but there was no response. This could have been handled a little different. And I did, you're saying that, there may have been some fault on our end or what have you. But my point is, I know he said in the past that he's hit our cables quite often. And when we did go to the mediator, I did say, hey, let's just have it to 50%, right? Because there's no disputing he hit the cable. But again, our crews have to go out and do some type of repairs or whatever.
Right. But the cable was also not marked by mistake. That was his testimony.
Right. So I do have pictures if you want.
Okay. I don't want anything. It's your case. So if you'd like me to look at those pictures to support your position, I'm happy to see them.
Yes.
So first, whatever photos you want me to look at, we'll show them to Mr. Van Ashe. Make sure either he's got copies or he at least knows what I'm looking at.
Yeah. I can for him. And again, I think he's seen these. You want me to? Okay. And this is, yeah.
So I'm going to give Mr. Van Ashe a chance to go through them and then we'll talk about them one at a time. And they've also got, actually got page numbers down at the bottom so we can refer to them by page number. Who is U.S. Infrastructure Corporation? Is that just like some third-party agency you hire to go out and put together diagrams and stuff?
So anytime there's a misdig, anytime there's staking involved, USIC was
They actually put the stakes in?
implement the plan, state plan.
Thank you. Have you had a chance to go through, Mr. Van Ashe?
Yes.
Okay. So which one would you like to refer me to first, Ms. Martin? Just give me a page number.
I don't know, said he.
Yeah, yeah.
So page 3.
All right, that's the one I got on my top. All right, so what am I looking at? Tell me how that supports you.
So this is where the start indicating where the damage was. So, so you see the pole across the way, you see the white truck and then there's.
Yeah, yeah.
So
Are those, that's the same pole in that two pictures?
I'm sorry?
Are the poles in those two pictures side by each?
Correct.
Those, that's the same pole, same view. One's before the digging started, one's after. Gotcha, go ahead.
Yeah, so that pole aligns with the flags. So that's the entire, I guess, cable line, underground cable. So it aligns with that pole. So you see the markings somewhat aligned. The unique thing about this plot is that it runs on an angle. So if you look at page, there's an overlay. If you look at a page, doesn't have a number. So let's say it's page, sorry. It's after 15, it's the only one that doesn't have a page.
Okay, oh, it's out of order. Is it the one that's got,
It's the see a map.
yeah,
Yeah, that, yeah.
okay, Mr. Van Ashe? So you're looking at the same one?
I'm missing 3.
Okay, okay.
So you see that the plot of the land runs on an angle, it's not straight as we would, I guess, expect. At any rate, so that's where the crew identified that the damage had occurred.
All right, so I'm looking at your overlay and I'm seeing the blue dotted line.
So that's our cable.
Okay, and where's the damage marked on the overlay?
So on the overlay, so if we're looking at this from Wainwright, so that pole shows Wainwright. So I'm thinking because the house is down there, I'm thinking that damage occurred closer to, I guess, the edge where.
All right, so we don't have an X marks the spot of the damage on the overlay. Okay. Okay. All right, so on the overlay, where would the easement be on this overlay? The easement that's shown in the picture on page 3.
So the easement would be, I would say, like, think of it as an invisible line from that pole going on like an angle. And then you have 4 feet.
Yeah, but I'm trying to figure out where I would map the easement on this.
Okay, yep, so the easement would be, if you're looking at it, the navy blue dash line, so it's closer to those property lines, so it's gonna be 4 feet on either side of that dash.
So it's an 8-foot easement.
Yes, I guess
Okay.
it's all, yes.
Okay,
So the damage occurred, so based on the proof, so you see it looks like a little, at the top it's a circle and then it has like something blue in the middle of it, so that's the first transformer. And then when you work your way down, there's another one that's not the clearest, but it looks like a square with a triangle. That makes any sense? That's the second transformer, so that's where the crew was saying the damage is.
yeah, I'm not finding the second transformer. I'm seeing the one up here, I think is the little circle with the two little like quadrants, dark blue.
Yes.
That's transfer number one,
Yep.
transformer.
Yep.
And then is the second transformer over here?
The transformers, if you go straight down towards the bottom of that, the second transformer is.
Oh, and there's a little circle, there's a circle around it and it's where the dark dotted line makes a almost 90-degree turn.
Here, let's switch. So this is the transformer, this is the light pole, so the circles are light pole. And then these are supposed to be transformers.
Okay.
So this is the second transformer.
Right.
So basically,
was in here somewhere.
correct. So remember, this is our.
So this is the,
Correct,
let's see what I'm looking at on picture number page 3,
yeah,
right?
Mhm.
Okay.
because this is our underground cave. So it's roughly like that's the underground cave.
Okay.
So it's gonna be what? Either side of that,
Right.
or whatever the flag.
Right. Right. I think about you.
Okay, what else do you want me to see on the photos? I don't know. Is there anything else in all these photographs you want me to refer to?
I think that was it, I just wanted to.
Okay. All right, so I've got I'm gonna give you a shot at her, but I got a question. So if I'm looking at the document or the depictions on page number 3, to me, it looks like that basement. You don't have this picture, Mr. Van Ashe? Oh.
Yeah.
You mind just showing it to him? In the picture that shows excavating, am I looking at part of the foundation down there?
If you look at it, my favorite figure is number 7.
Oh, let's do that. Let me find it. Okay, I got it.
See the orange in the hole
Um,
in the corner?
I see. Yeah, okay, yeah.
That's the damage.
Okay.
That's where we hit.
So that's within 1.5 or 2 foot from the footing, right?
That's the overdig. You have to dig it 2 foot wide for the
Backfill. Yeah.
and that's where we hit. So if you look at my page, also page 5,
Getting there. Okay.
you see they have it this big, and it lines right up with the telephone pole.
Right.
Makes sense to me. Yeah, that's an easement. That's
Right.
no house goes there. That's a property line. That's we know that makes sense.
But if you look at the picture on page, do you have page 4? Because it's the same picture, I think. 3 or 4, either one. Which you got 4? So that looks like that the footing is within 4 or 5 foot from the center of the easement.
But this is their repair. This is where they dug it. We didn't dig it up there. We hit it down in the hole.
Okay.
Stop.
No, but my question for you is, would you agree with me that it looks like it's approximately 4 or 5 feet from the center of the easement? Is that an optical illusion? Because the setback can't be that little on a side lot. Well, I guess it could be.
This looks at an angle. This is so close to the footing in this yard. I don't know exactly how it's laid out.
Right. Well, I guess we need to know where the pole over here is.
But wherever this end got cut doesn't really matter because that's not right.
Yeah, I get you. That's repair. Okay. All right.
Back here.
All right. Okay. And Ms. Martin, do you have,
Look at 7, that even shows it even closer.
yeah, so,
And if it stayed parallel, we would have never known.
Right.
But the fact that it's zigged into our estimation is the only reason we found out where it was.
Right, and I'm assuming you've got page number 7 as well. So in the very top corner, there's a pole. I'm assuming that's in a straight line with the poles that are shown in picture 4, picture 3,
5, the
right?
poles are. Picture 5 is before. This is what we saw when we got there.
Right, right, right.
Marketing, they're proud of themselves.
They take pictures, yeah, yeah,
We get there, we see this, it's like, okay,
Right.
that makes sense.
right. Okay. All right, so this appears to show that the underground that they hit was well outside the Mystic line. I mean, from the perspective I'm looking at on the photos.
So, yes and no, so if you go back to that map, so.
Hold on, let me get there. Overlay map, gotcha.
You have to overlay, as you start working your way from the rear, from Wayne Wright Street. As you start working your way down to the rear of that line, you see that underground cable does not run straight. Now it starts to veer off a little bit to the. I wouldn't say.
Right-hand side of the page. Because I don't know what the direction that is out there. So we'll just say your left and right, top and bottom. Okay. All right, so if the dark blue dotted line is the actual cable, right?
Right.
What is the bold black line? That's just lot lines?
Yes,
Okay,
and it aligns with what's on Google Maps right now.
okay.
Because the homes are.
And the lot line, wouldn't the lot line be the center of your easement?
I do not believe so.
Well, isn't that where your pole is on both ends of that lot line?
It's a little off to the right if you look at it. So remember that circle, first and top, the circles are the poles.
Right.
So it's a little off to the right.
Okay. Okay. All right. Did you still have questions for Ms. Martin?
That's like, well. I don't want to muddy the waters anymore, but
Oh, muddy away. It's all right.
it just seems like this blue line, if that's where this was originally installed.
Well, I don't know. When we say originally installed, the line that you hit. So
Yeah, but
I don't think anybody knows where that,
was originally installed
right?
before I did. This blue line, it cuts right through that house. So if we would have showed up and this dig would have been mingled with our excavation digs. I don't just think, oh, sweet, here's a freebie, I get to hit it. I would have just.
Right. Right. But that raised the question for me though. The bold line that's showing on the overlay, that's as it exists today, or that's how DT thought it was 4 years ago?
So the bold lines that you see, the black lines.
Not the lot line, the bold dark blue.
Oh, that is how it existed prior to the line being hit.
Okay.
And then overlaid with what you see today.
But how do you know that? How do you know where the line actually laid? I mean, there's no satellite that can pick up the underground line and show it on a map.
So.
Your drawing somewhere said that when it was originally put down, the underline went from point A to point B.
Correct, so we aligned it with what we saw on Google Maps, right? And in addition to.
No, I don't understand that though, because Google Map doesn't show underground lines.
Correct. Oh, so I'm sorry, there's a mapping team, I'm sorry, at work. So they're the ones that generate these maps. So that dark blue line is what was generated from our mapping team. And this is what they have in the file for anything. If you look at page 17, there's another. It was probably close up. Where's the page 8, 7? painting, again, you see how the plots are still on that slant. So again, this is coming from our mapping team, and then we have engineers that also draw on these maps as well. So I didn't just make up this.
Okay. Okay, but let's get back to my original question to you, which was when I was looking at 3, and actually in conjunction with 7, it looks like the underground that Van Ashe Construction hit was outside of the path of the misdig markings. And my understanding is if it's outside of the path of the misdig markings, it's not on them.
Correct. So I believe that the markings were straight. So unfortunately,
But I'm looking at them. I'm looking at them and they're nowhere near where that piece of orange stuff is sticking out of the basement hole.
right, so I think it's further back. So if you look at page 7, you see where they have marked. So that isn't, so that orange, I believe, is conduit.
I see where they've got the yellow scale thing down and they got the black thing that's vertical with a little red stripe.
Correct.
So I'm assuming that's in the mist.
Damage occurred, so they're to the damage.
Okay,
The
right. But if you look at 3, I'm assuming that that yellow marking is in conjunction with the before pictures next door, which would put it in the mistig markings. Maybe it's an improper assumption. You understand what I'm saying? You gave him your copy of number 3, I think.
Thank you. Okay, can you repeat that one?
Yeah. So I'm looking at the before picture where Mistig shows, right? I'm proud of my work. Mistig took a picture. And on the other side of the screen on screen is where you're showing your crew showing the damage. Those 2 pictures side by side make me think that the damage was right in line with the Mistig markings. But if I look at number 7 and I go from that black vertical with the red stripe, which is supposedly where the damage is, and do a straight line out to that pole that's in the very back, I shouldn't be anywhere near the excavation for the basement.
So it's not, so on page 7, that
Nope.
pole is from, right? So
Well, I don't know.
page 3 is Wainwright. That would be Wainwright.
Okay.
Because the way our equipment is set up, the way that underground cable runs, when the crew said that the damage occurred between transformer 1 and transformer 2, transformer 2 sits in the rear block of the home or that block.
So looking at your overview on page 17, the pole that's in the picture on page 7, where's that pole on the overlay?
It is this blue right here. This one. It's the circle with the blue in it. That makes some sense.
Yeah.
So this pole is this pole right here.
Okay. I don't, you got this map or not? You have this overlay?
I guess.
Yeah, I don't want to see the conversation. No. Okay. Right. You can, but not yet because I'm still cogitating. All right, and the pole that's in the picture 7, that's this pole or another pole?
No, that is not the pole in the overlay. The pole in picture 7. It's probably in the overlay. I don't see it on there per se. And it's in the 7. Actually, you know what? I think it's in the. I think it was
Another overlay?
not another overlay. This is, oh, on page 18.
Okay.
People can see that pole. So page 18, there's another pole where it says,
All right, what are the boxes with the upside down triangles in a marking? On page 18, are those poles or transformers? Okay. Well, are all these transformers we're discussing on poles?
No,
Okay. All right. So looking at 18, where do I find a pole?
so the pole that you're looking at is this 54. So that was the pole that we were looking at.
Okay.
So the poles are gonna have the circles with the dots, etc.
Gotcha. All right. So how do I place the map on 18 on the map on 17? How do I get those to correspond? What's a point that shows up on both of them so I can try to orient on one what I see on the other? Am I making sense?
Yes. I'm gonna say, if you look at, so on page 7, you see there's a pole to the left.
No. Not on pole 7. I'm sorry.
On page 7.
On the overlay, that's a pretty color one. How do I orient myself with what the information on 18 on the colored overlay? So for example, on page 18, I'm seeing 2 transformer signals on the bottom towards the bottom of the page, right? One's marked 65-2. I'm assuming those are transformers 1 and 2. Is that a safe assumption? Okay, so where on the colored overlay that doesn't have a page number, where are those 2 transformers at?
So the 2 transformers, they were on the copy that I had, so this is what I had circled. So you see them at the top on here. So
Show me again, I'm sorry.
here and here, those are the 2 transformers. So the transformers, it didn't show up, I think it's just the color.
Man, it would be a lot easier if you used the same symbols on all of them.
I passed it on to our mapping group.
No, seriously.
No, I agree. It's
So
supposed to be a triangle, I just think it's the.
where are those 2 transformers?
So, here's one, it didn't show up that low right here, but this is one, and then there's another one up here because there's so much lower. You can see a little bit right here. So 1, 2.
Okay. So one's at the top of the overlay, one's on Wainwright?
Yes,
All right. So the maps would look like this then, correct?
yes, well, no, maybe what do you call this? It's not horizontal, vertical.
Yeah, so on this one is at the top and 2 is at the bottom, or vice versa?
So, looking at it like this, right, so this is transformer 1, this is transformer 2.
But that's not the way they're marked.
Yeah.
Oh, all right. I'm looking at a different number 1.
Yeah.
There's a 661 and a 652, and then there's a 651 above.
You want 651 and then 65-2,
Okay,
which is where.
all right. Okay, but then I'm going back to my same old question. On page 7, that pole that's at the top of the photo has to be the pole that's with transformer 65-1.
Flip that. So the pole is the one that we showed in page 3. That's 54. The one that you saw on the.
No, I don't want to talk about that pole. I want to talk about this pole here.
That's not on the drawing. I don't think that's pole 54. Pole 54 is at the front. That's what you see on page 3. I don't think you can align. I don't even know if that's really a pole. I don't know what that is. It's not an electric pole, I'll say that.
Okay. Okay. All right, you had something to say.
Yeah, I was gonna try to prevent smoke from ending here. Let's just assume all these proposed are right. I'm fine. This
Right.
is proposed to be. I keep going back to page 7 and say, well, supposed doesn't always mean Texas. So if it's supposed to be
Right.
here,
Right.
fine. This isn't a map of where it is, this is a map of where it's supposed to.
And that's, sorry for the interruption. That's what I was trying to establish when I was looking at these blue lines. These blue lines are mapped on what the historical records DTE has that says this is where the lines were. That's where they were supposed to be laid. But
Yes.
Google does not have, Google can't tell me where actual cables are now. Right. Okay. All right. So would you agree with me if, I'm trying to figure out which picture, picture 7. If DTE, no, if Mystic would have had flags where that underground cable actually was, that flag line would have bisected with the basement lines that had to be excavated. Would you agree with me?
Maybe,
Okay.
maybe.
So then I can only come to the conclusion that if that was the case, if the contractor's basement stake line intersected the flag line from Mystic, then they had to intentionally dig knowing that they were digging where Mystic was.
Say that one more.
Sure. I wish I had a chalkboard. So if Mystic flags and how does your contractor leave? Does he put a string line up for you to dig?
Stake corner.
Okay. All right. Okay. So if the line drawn from one corner stake to another corner stake that Van Asche Construction is tasked with digging, if that line, I guess we'll call it an imaginary line. Okay. So if that line didn't intersect, well, no, let me rephrase it. If that line intersected with the Mystic flags, it would have been pretty obvious. Right?
Correct.
And then the only way they dig it up is because they got there and said, let's just see if we get lucky today, and knew they were facing a possible interruption like that.
Yes and no. So if they knew that they were getting close to,
It wouldn't have been close. It would have been crossing. I mean, if you look at what your picture shows me where the damage is at, there's two. Well, maybe I'm wrong. I think I'm looking at both ends of the disruption area in this picture on 7. One being in the corner of the basement or close to, and one being close to the yellow marking stuff.
okay,
All right. So that line is right on top of the excavation. Or, I mean, within a foot from the picture. That only leads me to one of two conclusions. Either they're totally irresponsible or Mystic missed where the actual line was at.
so.
And if there's a third reasonable conclusion, I'm going to let you point it out to me because I don't see it.
So. No. So I'm still going with the fact that if I still think that the markings were straight or they were correct, right? So if they're close,
When you say markings, you mean the Mystic markings?
so it's USIC. Yeah.
Okay.
So if they're close to that 4 feet or they have to live within the 4 feet, they have to do a soft excavation.
Right.
Again, I'm going off of what Mr. Van Ashe has stated before, is that, yep, we hit the cables all the time.
Well,
But let me ask him for a clarification on that. You hit the cables all the time because you're reckless or because Mystic is wrong?
I don't like the reckless, but there are times where if we have to dig, if this was in the front, we had to bring a sewer through this, and this is marked. we dig down and we locate all the lines,
Right,
then we dig. Sometimes we hit another line that we weren't aware of,
right. And why weren't you aware of it?
because we didn't have enough, don't make me say reckless, but
Oh, I know what you're saying. Mystic gave you a path.
this big says it's in here.
Right,
We dig, but there's one, there's gas.
right. And there's a fourth one 8 inches over.
Oh,
Right. Right. But those are parallel lines.
Wire.
Right.
Legally, right?
But those are parallel lines as well. Right,
This big 8-foot path.
Right.
Now it's.
right. Okay.
But each way.
Okay.
And
Right.
once we're in a subdivision, we know what we're looking for. Okay, we got a friend, an orange one, 3 black ones.
Yeah, if you're digging a pool in an existing
Yeah.
development, you got to find,
We did this whole stuff.
right,
We know exactly what we're looking for.
right.
Didn't even try to find these because we didn't need to. We weren't trying to cheat something or cut a corner. It was just, there was no mistake says are there, we believe you, okay, fine.
Okay. All right. Anything else? Okay. Anything else from you?
No, other than I just want to be clear that what you can see in a couple of these pictures, 4 and 7. The footprint of the house, the only thing is. You know, that's where we hit it,
Right.
you know, so no, we weren't being lazy or trying to.
Okay.
I think sometimes they got come out, they see the line, when they come out, they know what they're looking for.
Right.
And they, beep and put the flags down and. Then 90% of the time, that's perfect, that's fine, we get it, we find it. Maybe they're off, maybe it's 5 feet off and we custom a little bit, we're gonna dig a little bit more, but. We're happy to do it instead of hitting it. But there was no logical reason to look for these wires to hit.
Okay. Miss Martin, anything else?
No.
All right. Well, first of all, I know this stuff isn't any fun for you guys, but I really enjoy this because there aren't too many small claims cases that I don't learn something, right? I've been telling people I've been doing mediations this morning, and I know my industry fairly well, but the small claims give me a little dabble into a lot of other stuff. So I really enjoy these. So I'm going to go back to what I said earlier. I can only find 2 plausible explanations for what happened. Either the underground wasn't marked where where Mistig's flags showed it was supposed to be, or Van Ashe Construction, and I'll use the word again, was reckless. And I haven't heard anything to make me think they were reckless. I'm going to find no cause of action, but I appreciate all your time. Do you need paperwork for that? Because I can have somebody print something off.
I'm not sure what happens. This is all.
Okay. Well, I can tell you what happened. I can tell you what happens. It's done.
Right, but I think.
It's not because I thought this was done for years.
Just wait a second. I'll give it to you. You'll have, just give me a minute. I'm going to get another one started while I have the clerks prepare it, and then I'll sign it and get it to you. This is all photos going back to them. Just call downstairs and ask them to do a no cause of action on it. Joe, you want to bring the next one in? Thank you, folks. You guys just wait down by the civil department and we'll get you copies. Thank you.
Judge, I don't think anybody from our 130 showed. I have one party from the pool park.
Vogler and Osborne, nobody showed up?
I didn't see anybody.
That's bad for my ego, Joe. Just go down to the civil department, first floor. The main counter down there.
Thank you.
And Joe will run it up for my signature. Have a good day, folks.
You must have. Okay, so this is like something that you fully understand.
Yeah, Mystic stuff, yeah.
Yeah. So you totally understand it. See, like, but it's like, you're like this pool and this and this and I'm like, oh.
Call down there and see if they've heard anything from Vogler or Osborne.
I have nobody from our 130.
All right, and you've just got one side for the 2?
Yeah.
Post, I'm assuming? All right. Thank you. Don't worry about it. We'll just go with Joe.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hey, nobody for the 1:30 show? Oh, okay, I have to make sure, all right. Yep, the 1 o'clock is actually coming down, waiting for Sandy to type everything up, get it signed and given. Yeah. All right. Nobody,
When you go down to get that judgment so I can sign, actually, I'll walk it down.
I'll go down.
That's all right. I'll sign it and then save some stuff.
a log,
Unlog.
log.
Okay. She don't need me.
Perfect, and I didn't realize how it would have been so good. So we're gonna hope that.
You mean it would have confused her too?
No, if you could have logged and figured things out, but that's almost like schematics of the math.
All right.
Raise your right hand. Brian?
All right, I'll be back.
Yeah, cause like, see, this is what mine used to come here.
He's probably big dog county.
Yeah, he's the oldest.
See, this is what mine, so it's the time, the speaker, and then your notes, kind of like yours. Would actually be like my description of what.
And yours is time automatically comes in, right?
Yes.
To enter.
Yes, see, so that's what almost all of them do, except for the way that they want you to do it. Yes, the old fashioned way that.
Are we still taking?
Yeah. I can't turn off that at all.
That's fine, that's fine. Just want to make sure.
Remember,
It's fine. We won't get comfortable, that's fine.
Judge is, he meeting you down there, he likes to do his steps, he was running down to.
Gotta work on this communication, then Joe, you're supposed to be in charge of that.
Dude.
Run.
Dan, you're gonna learn, if you put me in charge of anything, it's gonna get screwed up.
We're bad, we didn't.
Exactly. Heather's the boss.
I know, and I get sick of them, I just sleep in all the reasons mediation. All you gotta do is go sit in 2 different rooms, we're good. And I'll call and make me. I get very good.
What we nation want?
Because did you need a water? Oh, Joe, I guess it should be nice. Did you need water? Oh,
Well, since you've never offered to give me one before, why would I start me one now?
Hey, Joe. Yes, both sides are out there.
Okay,
Looks like both sides are here. Both.
ready to get going?
All right.
Before we support that in session, Honorable Judge Oakley presiding.
Have a seat, folks. Doesn't matter, just have a seat. I'll figure you out. Settle in, have a seat. Make yourself comfortable. All right. Is it Peggy? Is that an R-O-S-T?
ROSC.
Yeah, I couldn't tell if I got a bad copy. Is it Ross? Ross? All right. And Christopher, say your last name for me. Hunansian? Oh, V. Hovansian? Inch All right. All right. So you folks are here for a small claims case. Let me tell you, let me lay some ground rules for you. All right. First of all, small claims is different than what we call general civil. First of all, no attorneys are allowed at small claims. But more importantly for today's, right now where we're at is when I make a decision today, you're stuck with it. There's no appellate process to a small claims decision made by a judge. You understand that, ma'am? All right. Yes? Yes?
Yes.
Okay. And so you understand that? All right. And you're both okay going forward with those, with that term? Okay. And you just gave me another one of my segues. So if you give me an answer, do a yes or a no, not a head shake or head nod, because I might catch it or I might not if I'm making notes, and it certainly won't record. If there's any evidence you want, visual evidence you want me to consider, pictures, documents, whatever, the way we're going to do that is first show it to the other side, give a copy of it to them if you've got an extra copy. We'll have a quick discussion whether or not there's any objection to me looking at it. If there are no objections, I'm going to look at it. If there's an objection, we'll work through that objection and then I'll decide whether or not I'm going to look at that evidence. Understood that? Understand that process? Are all of you possible witnesses today, or we got some people just here for moral support? Okay, well, I didn't think the little guy was going to testify. All right, so I might hear from all of you. So why don't all four of you raise your right hands? Do you folks swear, affirm, tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth today? Okay, hands down. Last thing is, you've got lots of time. All right, I'm not going to just give you, I'm not going to turn my time hourglass over and give you 2 minutes and say you're done. We're going to go back and forth. Anything else? Anything else? Anything else? Anything you want to add? I'm going to go back and forth. You're going to walk out of here and you might be mad, but you're not going to feel like you didn't have a chance to tell me what you want to tell me. All right. I tell you that to tell you this. That means don't interrupt. If somebody's saying something and you want to correct it, don't interrupt. We're going to take turns. I'm the only one that gets to interrupt. And I'm going to tell you right now, I will interrupt you. It's just the way my head works. If one of you is saying something, telling me your story, and I have a question, I'm going to interrupt. I'm going to ask the question. Hopefully you're going to answer it. And then I'm going to start processing that new information as you continue with whatever you're trying to tell me. And I apologize up front because I know it's rude. It's just the way my head works best. And I think that does it all. Ma'am, you started the action, so this is your chance to explain to me why Mr. Ovansian owes you money and how much.
I rented a camper through Marketplace on Facebook. And it was $500 for 2 nights. But I had to give them $1,000 for a deposit.
Let me stop you. First interruption. When you say 500 for 2, 250 times 2 or 500 and 500 for $1,000 weekend?
No, 250 times 2.
I'm with you now. Go ahead.
And I signed everything. I gave him $1,000. I signed the contract.
Okay.
Which, by the way, it doesn't have anything. It's just doesn't have any writing on it other than signatures. And
Let me stop you. What do you mean by that? There's no language on the contract?
well, Can I bring this up or?
Sure, I'm assuming you've got a copy of it.
I've got this.
Okay, all right. Any objection if I look at it?
No, no.
Okay, all right. Ma'am, you can stay seated.
It's got all of the-
That's why Joe's here. He can run paperwork. All right, so what are you giving me? Same contract with some addendums?
We both.
Okay. Okay.
Yes, their signature and
Okay.
the whole line of the control.
Okay, go ahead, ma'am.
So everything was set to go. He was 2.5 hours late, but it's was.
He delivered it?
Yes.
Okay. I'm just curious, how's that work? Like right to the campground you wanted to be at?
Yes.
Okay,
He got on the truck, he told my husband to back it in because he wasn't good at it. So I'm assuming it might have been the first time writing it or something like that, but, when, he was showing him the ins and outs of it, and he plugged in the water to the unit, it broke off because he didn't have the right equipment to hook it up correctly.
okay, when you say it broke off, what do you mean?
The water broke off from the side of the camper in his hand.
Okay, okay. Go ahead.
And, so we went the whole weekend without any water. We didn't have any, we did use the toilet, we flushed it with water. And, oh,
I've written, sir, I've written statement of,
Okay, but you're not a party. She can call you as a witness, but you're not a party.
Mr. Kobayashi gave us a meeting time.
Okay, let me stop you. I don't do well when people read to me.
Oh,
I'm not an auditory learner. If you'd like me to read that, I got no problem with that as long as he doesn't have an objection to it.
I'm sorry.
That's fine. Show that, Joe. Go ahead, take a look at it, see if you have any objections.
So,
Hold on. No objection, sir? No?
No.
Okay, all right, don't talk because I can't read and listen. Oh, in his handwriting I can read.
my husband.
Hold on, ma'am. Let me read what you want me to read. Okay, I've read it. Go ahead.
So he initially broke the water into the camper and he's trying to make us pay for it out of our $500 deposit that we were told we would get back. And these are the things that he needed to have to hook a camper up correctly to the water, and we didn't have any of them.
Okay.
Before it broke off the side of the
Let me stop you with the money. So how much money did you give him total?
$1,000.
Okay, so that was supposed to be 500 rental, 500 damage deposit, right?
2 days for 500 and then a 500.
Okay, okay. Okay, so you're suing for $500 being the deposit that you want back.
Yeah, I mean, I could sue for more.
All right.
It's-
All right, anything else at this time? Okay, okay.
So we did call him. Oh, yeah.
You realize you just told me no and kept talking, which is okay if you want to tell me more.
Yeah. He had put it on and made it like sort of work, and then it fell right off.
Right.
It's going underneath the camper. We called him and told him that, and he said he was gonna get somebody out, but nobody ever came. So basically, we were in a box with no water, no running water, and I really feel like we got the shaft.
Okay, all right. Nothing else at this time?
No,
All right. Sir, do you have any questions for Ms. Roast?
So when you claimed that the water was broken, you directly sticking where it?
Did you message?
No, I asked you directly.
I didn't know,
Okay.
but he was the one working with you.
Okay. Any other questions for the lady? Okay. Anything else at this point? Okay, your turn.
All right, so you know the contract we handed over there, that was both acknowledged and signed by the both of us. First of all, that amount she states 250 is incorrect. She signed it instead of 125, $500 deposit was signed. And if you read where I highlighted for you, that statement in regard to any damage being done to a brand new 2024 trailer that I purchased in May for my family. I chose to rent this unit out personally to folks when we're not using it. We're in a free camp a year family. I fully completely know how to hook up a trailer. Here's all the components. City water connection, make it complete. Followed through on everything that, Peggy claims that I didn't do. When we came to drop the trailer off, me, my fiance, and my daughter, who's actually in school right now, we were all in my truck. We met them over there, same plot that they picked out at KOA and Ypsilanti. And even detailed, I mean, I had the original Facebook ad that she responded to, nothing that would have been, out of the ordinary, and I presented a contract that where we both signed and acknowledged this prior to doing any type of payment. Once the contract was signed, then the payment was rendered. Once the rental unit was set up, then the delivery was set up and followed through on. Like I said, we came, we hooked the trailer up, me, my fiance, and my daughter. Made sure that all the water and everything was working. We backed it in. I pulled up the city water connection, hooked everything up I needed to make the water operative. Asked Christy to come to the back of the trailer and validate. Hey, go inside, make sure that the toilet's running, make sure that the sink's running, make sure that you have running water. This is my witness. She was there throughout the whole thing, heard it all. I said to Chris, and at the back of the trailer, he did watch me hook up the water, taking something that may or may not have broken, that's the true issue, it's determining who broke it. I've got enough proof here that says otherwise, and also a statement in my contract that says I'm not held liable for any damage.
What, you're losing me. What proof do you have that showed you didn't break it?
Well, I have pictures after a letter from Chris talking about the water was broken. I have receipts of it having to be repaired at the unit. And it wasn't only the city water that was broken, it was the pipe work inside because the pressure
Hold on, pipe work inside the camper?
inside the camper had
Okay.
to be routed all the way out to the city, not being outside of the unit there. It was actually broken. He didn't call me until 30 minutes after we left the site after hooking up the water, everything being operative to tell me that it was broken. That's where the problem was. What he did in between all that, why didn't you validate water was operative at the sink, at the toilet, at the city water connection, and then claim that I broke it directly at the site? At that point in time, sir, I don't do business like that. I would have gladly gave the refund back. We would have discussed it and taken my unit away, but they would not, they can't. Matter of fact, he wrote me a letter stating when they exited the camper, where all the flange was in there. I didn't get anything but a broken flange. Therefore, why they had to replace it.
You're losing me. Flange. What's the flange?
The city water.
Okay.
So it hooks into it, all these components go on there, pressure regulator at the city water connection, a filter, make sure you get clean water. All this was operative before I left. I came back to this. They weren't even at the unit to discuss anything.
Look, hold on, you're talking too fast. You came back to this. You came back where? To the campsite?
Pick up my unit after
Okay.
10 years was done, that they
Right.
paid for and signed
Right.
the contract. Here's a letter that I came back to from
Okay.
Chris, not even Peggy.
Okay.
Chris stating the broken water connectors in the cabinet we did not use the shower. When the toilet was used, it was flushed with water, which is fine. Doesn't have to have water to flush or to use the toilet if you needed it to. But the problem is there was no solids left in there. That's why I also had in there extra charges and fees on that, because I had to pay for septic to be done when his letters stated otherwise.
Okay.
So the fact of the matter is coming down to the conclusion of how did the city water get broken? If I have everything that says otherwise, he validated himself that it was operative and working, and we left. We went on about our weekend. They rented it, I think, the weekend after 4th of July. I even called my roadside service to try and get them out there for them, but they were so capacitated, I couldn't get them out there from everybody else that needed service. So I scheduled something with the place where I purchased my unit from after they rented, so they could assess it, do the work that they needed to. And then I relayed this to Peggy and Chris. You know, they're kind of nasty because we originally started out on Facebook communicating. Then I'm getting contacted from him on her phone. Then I'm getting nasty emails about how I'm a scam, how problem is that the water was broken. Yes, we can both agree on it. I'm not gonna be blamed for something when I'm trying to do them a service for their stay. The fact of the matter is it's broken, it had to be fixed, and this was all after we left.
So on the contract, daily rate 125, weekly rate 100. What does that mean?
What is that?
Daily rate 125, weekly rate 100. What does
Yeah, something
rate
a
mean?
little off. They got like a 7-day week. I'll give them it for $700.
Okay.
Not $125 a day.
Okay. So how many days did they have it?
And then from the 12th to the 14th,
So you count that 3 days?
it would have started Friday through Sunday. 2 days.
Okay,
Sunday only.
so that's 250,
Yes.
right? And then, I'm trying to figure out why you charge them $1,000 because the math doesn't make sense to me on the contract. Total rental fee is $1,000, 500 of which is the deposit, right?
$80.
250 would be the rental rate, right?
Yes.
Okay, so that's 750. Where's the missing 250 at?
Here's the extras.
No, I'm not. I'm on your contract.
Oh, yeah.
I'm trying to figure out why you have $1,000 on the contract.
You need to see the original act too, so this is.
No, I need to see the contract. You signed a contract. You signed a contract because that was the terms of the agreement.
Okay.
I'm trying to figure out why you're charging $1,000.
Okay, here you go. Clear as day for you. Dumping fee, $80.
Where's that at on the contract?
That's right here. The end that she.
Where's that at on the contract? I'm asking you, what paragraph?
This is all part of it. This is the end that she responded.
It's not part of it. This is the contract. If you have a written contract, this is the contract. That's advertisement.
Okay.
I'm just schooling you. You're in business. If you're going to have a written contract better be inclusive.
Delivery fee, $100 base, and then $50 in my over.
Not in the contract.
Standards.
So I'm going to ask you one more time. How do you come up with $1,000?
Because
What's the 250 that's missing on this page?
$80. The cleaning fee, the dumping fee, and the delivery fee.
Give me the cleaning fees.
Dumping fee.
Dump, okay?
$45 for the cleaning fee.
Yep.
$100 for the dumping fee. Deposit for rental, $500 will be made up front to secure and hold the rental. Any damages incurred once checked back.
Okay, but you're still $125 short. 80, 45, and 100. No, that's 225, right?
I think she, yeah,
So you're $25 short.
$25?
Right.
Okay. I did.
Okay. All right. So what damage did you keep? I mean, do you have some itemized parts list, labor? Okay.
Here's how it all began. I picked up the trailer. There's direct weather. Here's the pictures when I picked up the unit.
Okay, what I asked you for is your list of damages that you're trying to hold them responsible for. Okay. Show that to Miss Rose.
Oh, the septic too, here's all the dumping that came out of the septic. Might show them this one. I apologize, everything.
Let me know if you have any objections to me looking at those documents.
I would like to say something.
No, that's not where we're at.
Actually,
Do you have any objections to me looking at those documents? Any objections? Ma'am? Thank you. Give me a chance to peruse. Oh, good God. All right, if I'm reading this correctly, the general RV center total was 300.
Yes, sir.
Is that right?
It's all on that list, that's. Thing, my man, is a very good.
All right, so I think you made some reference to a comment about water lines inside the camper, not just out on the wall, on the exterior, but some kind of inside stuff damage.
So
Does that show up on the RV, the general RV thing?
it's the inspection that needed to be done and all that broken down. Yeah,
All right, hold on. I'm not seeing that in the paperwork you just submitted. I got a post-work customer approval, general RV. Shows city water flange black. The only thing I'm seeing charges for is the $200 for the flange and then $100 labor. I don't see anything in here about water lines.
okay.
So I'm assuming there were no repairs made to the water lines.
Okay. If it's not on there,
Okay.
I have no idea why.
Okay,
I'll have to contact General Air.
okay. Well, what was your understanding of what was done?
The water lines were replaced inside all the way up to the pump leading back out to the city water connection.
And any idea why?
I have no idea.
Okay.
Whatever they did, they had
All right.
inspection in there.
Is this the flange that is referred to in here, the $200 part?
Broke.
Okay,
Which, not having that part on there would make the water inoperable, but the water operated before we left. Validated.
okay. Is this post-repair or pre-repair?
That is pretty. I
Okay,
don't know if I have a photo. I can get a photo of it.
Right.
And shoot it. Here too, going back on the conversation of all the extra fees and all that, the contract. It was explained to Peggy in her messages before we even signed the contract, what the extra fees were. She acknowledged it and then went on to go and sign the contract. From now on, I'll itemize those going to a contract because you are 100% correct. It should show it, but it shows it right here.
all right.
Numerous methods of contact that we had via email and Facebook Messenger.
Okay, so You haven't returned any of the $1,000, correct?
No,
Okay. And 500 of which was for the 2-night rental, correct?
for the West,
The rental,
yes.
okay?
And then the other 500 was,
Okay, but the rental's only 250. That's why, see, I'm having trouble with the math. She told me the rental rate was $500. Your contract says it was 250.
understood, because the things that we were discussing in our messages about these extra fees and what.
The dump fee and the cleaning
It
fee.
was all acknowledged.
Okay,
It's right here.
okay.
You want to read through these two? I asked her, Peggy, you understand what the contract states? Go ahead and sign it. Then you can follow up with the deposit. We'll go ahead and then schedule your lot rent. And then once you get that down, give me the place where you're going and I'll be.
Okay.
I helped save on my
Okay.
insurance by having other folks travel with my trailer to not damage it.
All right, so the 500 would be the 250 for the 2 nights
Yes,
plus all the incidentals.
yes,
All right, and then 300 for the general RV repair,
yes,
which leaves a balance of $200 of their money.
yes.
So you agree that you owe them $200?
No, I don't agree.
Well, what's that for?
What do you mean?
Why are you keeping the extra 200?
Well, when they started throwing around threats of going to court and driving by my house and taking pictures, yeah, I held on to their money and I would let it jump.
Okay.
Like you decide how we move forward.
Okay,
Yeah,
okay.
being called a scam, like I had asked this woman if she was drunk a couple nights,
Okay,
you know, all hours of the night, you know,
okay, hold on.
I'm not trying to be
Okay.
here. Oh my God, and I ultimately.
Okay. All right, so is there anything else you want me to consider at this point?
I mean, this whole file really, because kind of every question you've asked me is right here written leading up to, it was all stepped up.
Okay,
You know, and I keep track of that, but she was really the only one I got to talk to this year. And
well, I don't think she's disagreeing that the original rental rate was 500. So I mean, that was the original testimony, correct? Okay, all right. So what we're talking about is the difference between that 5 and the 1,000 you paid. Right? Okay. All right. All right. Do you have any questions for him?
Yes.
Oh, go ahead. No. Listen closely. Do you have any questions for him? If you just want to tell me more about from your story, that's okay. But do you have any questions for him?
There.
All right, that's counterproductive. If that's the only question you've got, then what do you have to tell me that you want me to consider?
I heard him say he was gonna try to get somebody out there to fix it. And then he left, and we called him after it's done, because it fell right on.
Right.
It was not hooked up properly, it didn't have the regulator and all that stuff. He broke it, and he knows he broke it. He was lying.
Okay.
Sir. Yeah, it's a.
Not unless she calls you as a witness.
I called him as a.
You're not a party. You can ask him questions to elicit his testimony, but he's not going to sit there and tell me a story.
Well, I don't know what he wants to say, so I.
Can't help you. Anything else from you, sir?
I call my witness.
All right. You're under oath. Go ahead and ask her questions.
What's the water operated working before we left?
What's your name, ma'am? Last name? West, just like the direction? Okay. Anything else?
When we did leave, about how long after we left, a phone call from Chris claiming that the water was frozen and out of there.
But there means that we like said it broke out of it, or Chris said it fixed, but it wasn't broken, but you got it working, so it would be used. If it left, then it was broken. Then it wasn't working.
Okay, that confused me. Did you have trouble hooking it up?
At first, yeah, because I couldn't get the filter to adapt to it, and then I got the filter to work, and then Chris came around to the back of the trailer while I was hooking it up. And at the same time, I said, we should be good now, you mind going in the trailer and validating if it's working? Talking the sink and the toilet, that's it, the shower too. He ran all of them, she heard him from the vehicle say, yeah, it's working. How about the sink, Chris? Yeah, it's working. How about the toilet, Chris? Yeah, it's working. Okay, good.
Okay.
If you guys have any problems, give me a call. 30 minutes down the road, I get a call. The water's broken, Chris. And then I was all sorts of everything
Okay.
throughout the whole weekend.
Okay.
Even trying.
Did you go back?
Uh,
Did you go back when they called you?
because we
Okay.
had a daughter that we.
Okay. Do you happen to have any pictures of the actual part so I know what broken is?
Let me see, this is the only component.
Because I'm not a camper. I have no idea what this hookup's supposed to look like.
The fix. And that would have been great with all these negative photos of everything. You mind if I look at my?
No. Or maybe you can just describe on your photo what's broken.
So where you see that flange broken off of there,
Hold on, I got to find that picture. I got it here somewhere. All right. Yeah, I'm looking at this big picture. What's broken?
so if you don't mind,
No.
we take. This piece goes to the city water connection going into the trailer. This.
So that piece in your left hand screws into this thing. So the filter screws in here,
Or you.
right?
That in.
And then that goes on the other end,
Filter by front.
right?
Then this piece goes in water connection. It's feeding water.
Right.
To the trailer.
So something's broken here.
The piece that would attach this to it.
Okay.
And if this was part of it, take a garden hose and you attach this to it, that wouldn't attach to it.
Okay.
Therefore, the whole city water is just in-house.
Right.
That's why I call.
So the piece that's broken, is that a piece that turns into this or it's an actual part of this that broke off?
Position that he's going on the inside. I mean, I'm an engineer at work. It's a crappy design, if you will.
All right. So there's supposed to be another piece that if this was a complete unbroken unit, I'd be looking at a totally different picture.
I mean.
Correct?
Yes.
Okay.
It gets pricey because that's how it goes. I mean, you can get them in brass.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, with the model unit that I bought coming from the manufacturer, it's the design of like a two-piece. Picture the piece you have on the trailer and the one that broke off. This should have fed to something inside. Therefore, why I mentioned the lines had to be.
Right.
Because in that is a water pump that inside the unit pumps all that water if the city water was operative and keeps me pressurized.
Right.
Water, stuff like that, you know.
Okay. All right.
This is my first time camping around.
Okay.
A camper. I've only one my whole life too. So.
Okay. All right. Anything else from anybody?
I just wish I had the finalized picture for you again, so it wasn't a bunch of negative about that.
Gotcha.
It's pretty simple. Here we just need to get to a solution.
Yeah. Okay. Anything else from you? Go ahead. Okay. Put your full name on the record, sir.
Christopher J. Roth.
Thank you. Go ahead.
How did she hear everything that was said when she was in the truck?
That's not a question for your husband. That's a rhetorical question for me. Elicit some facts from your husband if you have them.
In terms of what's needed to hook up a camper properly, so that it will not do that and he had no.
Yes.
Can we show?
Sure. Show him to Mr. Havazian.
Damn, are they questioning each other? They can do that?
Yeah, just like you just did with your
I
wife.
thought they were questions directly.
No. See if you've got any objection to me looking at those photos, sir.
Yeah, I do.
Okay. What's the objection?
There's a pressure regulator.
What's the objection to the photo?
Oh, no.
Okay.
This is all part of the manual. Like, this is regular camping etiquette.
Okay. So you're okay with me looking at those photos?
Sure.
Okay. Okay.
Standard.
All right. Go ahead.
Well, he didn't have any of that. It was hooked up incorrectly by him. And he rigged it so it worked for a little bit, and when they left, it broke instantly.
Okay. Anything else?
Uh,
Do you have any questions for Ms. Rose?
Oh, yeah. That's
Go ahead.
Did you directly see me break one?
what my husband told me, he doesn't want it. He doesn't have.
Anything else?
There was another part she said, but I mean, every question on there
I know.
goes me on my feet. So I agree. I'm gonna ask.
Okay. Yes. If she wants to question you,
I have the question.
you're not a party to the lawsuit. All right. I won't disagree.
Um. What parts did he have and what parts did he not have to hook the camper up? Record.
The 90-degree brass elbow in that picture would attach to the male water inlet on the side of the camper. And those are attached to keep there from being excessive pressure from the hose and the filter. It directs it in a 90 towards the ground.
Right. So the weight of the filter is not resting on the plastic. Right.
There's another piece that's about 6 inches long and it has a spring. And you would hook that on next to the 90-degree brass elbow, and then to that attach your filter.
That's what you're calling the filter extension,
Yes.
right?
Then you would attach your water hose to that and run it to the city water valve. And on the city water valve, you would put a pressure regulator. It usually has a dial.
Right, like this.
Yes.
Okay, I'm with you.
And then you connect your water to that, your hose line to that. And what that valve does, it keeps the water pressure from getting too high. That would keep from exploding the lines inside of the camper. Now, the way it was hooked up was the water line was hooked to the trailer. And then in line was the filter hooked up to the city water valve. There was no meter device for the valve.
So it was city water, hose, filter, camper.
Correct.
Okay.
No 90-degree brass adapter. So that caused excessive weight, the weight of the hose and the water in the hose to tear off that piece. Okay. Once that was broken off, it was unable to be used.
Okay.
Also, sir, if I may add, if there's water in the holding tank and the pump is on inside the camper, then yes, you will get water flowing from your tap. That's what I witnessed, was water flowing from the tap. I don't know if it was from pressurized water that came from the hose, or if there was water in the holding tank, fresh water in the freshwater tank.
All right.
Yes, that's what I said. Yes, it's worth.
Anything else?
No, sir.
Sir, questions for Mr. Rose?
Yeah, Chris, how would you have saw any of the way that I hooked up anything if you were on the inside of the trailer? Tells me that the water was running.
I was on the outside when you attempted to hook it up and when the male adapter was broken by on the camper.
Why didn't you directly take that up with me while we were standing there? Why did it take you
I
30
did.
minutes after we left and told me that the water was hooked up? That's cool that you brought all those photos to how to properly hook up the trailer. Well, can you efficiently tell me that I didn't hook it up when you were inside the trailer telling me that the water was operative and functioning at the toilet without the pump running?
All right, there's a long question there. Break them down. One
I was
question.
on the outside of the camper with you when you hooked up the water to the campers.
Tracy, where was Chris when?
Okay, are you done with Chris? Are you done with Chris?
Yes.
Okay. Go ahead.
Tracy, where was Chris when I asked him if the water was hooked up and operative? So again, if I may ask, how would
Who
you,
are you asking?
Chris,
Go ahead.
how would you be able to validate if I hooked up the water correctly with all the parts you showed and what I did and didn't have if you were inside the trailer? And you were telling us, and again, going back to how she heard it, the windows were open in the vehicle. She heard everything. Talking about. How did you know whether or not I hooked it up? If you were inside the trailer, right before we left, saying, water in the bathroom ran, the toilet ran, and the sink ran fine. You did not address.
Okay, once again, that's a run-on. That's a run-on. So let me ask you this. Did you ever go out and check out the water hookup after you had no problems or had problems with water? Did you ever go outside the camper and look at what was going on?
I was outside the whole time.
Okay. Did you ever see this?
No.
Did you ever see this? The 90.
No.
That wasn't on the hose. That wasn't on the camper. That wasn't on the filter. All right. Anything else from you?
Yeah, if you have pictures of how it was hooked up, there's clearly what site they're on.
No, I didn't think I was going to need them. Thought we were.
All right. Anything else?
And again, when we left the trailer after hooking up the water, was it not operating at the sink, at the bathroom, at the shower, like you said?
After you attempted to make that repair, yes.
That's all my question.
Anything else? Ma'am? Anything else?
Feel like, we've been scammed. That's why I'm
Okay. So you paid a filing fee to the court. Was it $35 or more than that? All right. Did you have any other out-of-pocket expenses?
My husband getting just 2 days of work.
Yeah, that don't count.
Um,
Sucks, but it doesn't count.
sure does, because he doesn't get paid.
All right. Any other out-of-pockets?
$1,000 now, that's all I gave him. And we never got anything there.
Okay. All right. All right. Anything by way of closing argument?
If you don't mind, sir, it also states in the contract what was signed and acknowledged, the highlighted areas we briefing.
Particularly, what do you want me to look at?
Any damages, statement of.
Yep, I saw that. Anything else?
Your Honor,
Not you. Anything else? Yes. Anything else? Yeah, I've been here. I've been here. I've been listening. I understand that's your position. Anything else? All right. So small claims cases are civil. Civil cases are determined by a preponderance of the evidence. That means if it's a 51 to 49, the 51% wins. It's pretty clear to me that the way it was described is exactly what happened. You hooked up plastic to plastic with the weight of the water line and the hose on it. And it might have lasted for 30 minutes, but it didn't last for 2 days, and that was what the rental was. And the fact that your contract says they're responsible for damage certainly doesn't cover any damage that you are responsible for. I am awarding $535 to Ms. Rost.
Did you, Your Honor, you said you read the contract at the bottom there, it's highlighted about not being responsible for any of the fees that are in the contract or the damages incurred.
And I just explained, I'm not going to hold her responsible for damages to the trailer. That's your fault. And there's no judge anywhere that's going to enforce that kind of language in a contract when it's the contract drafter's fault that the damage occurred. You did the damage. You hooked up the trailer wrong and it broke. So you can go downstairs and in probably 5 to 10 minutes, we'll get a copy of that judgment for you. Have a nice afternoon. You're welcome. Oh, you guys can get all your documents and photos back. Joe's got them all up here. Keep up with all that, Kennedy?
It's a lot. Thank you.
Do you want me to use up?
Yeah, well, you can't get it all, we shut this down.
Yeah,